All right, good evening, everybody. It's Sunday, coming into Thanksgiving week. I was running through some charts that I jump on, kind of share my thoughts for this upcoming week, and go over some of the names that are kind of interesting to me. So, obviously, last week we ended with a ton of volatility. We had the huge sell-off post Nvidia earnings, kind of caught a lot of people off guard. And Friday we tried to stabilize. It was we initially were lower, and then we reclaimed, had a nice buy into the afternoon, and then kind of sold off into the close. Typically after a big spike in volatility like this, we'll get some more digestion, and the markets will kind of relax a little bit before making another move. So they kind of need to set up from here, especially coming into a holiday week. A lot of people are going to be traveling, and volume's going to be lighter. So I'd imagine the action's probably going to be a bit tamer than last week. As of right now, the futures are up a bit. I think I saw 200 points. We'll see if they'll be able to hold that overnight. As far as the Qs go, I can see this bouncing up, so maybe coming up, back testing this 600 area. That's the first major area of resistance from Friday that I'll be watching. And then going from there, I'm going to need to see this set up over the coming days. It's going to need a few days of consolidation, if this is going to reclaim the moving averages, if it's going to consolidate below and break down for another leg lower. I'm just going to need to see some more action. Right now, I don't have any interest in trading the Qs. Ideally, we get a deeper pull in. I would like that over the next week or so, and then see if we can get a bigger bounce following that, maybe into the end of December, early January. But a 10% correction would be awesome down into this 573 area. So that's the Qs. I'm not expecting a ton out of them this week, but we'll see. Headlines can change very quickly, and we can put up some big numbers. And that's the one thing. If there are some headlines or if something happens without a ton of liquidity, the market could make some more outsized moves than expected given the lack of liquidity. So that is something to consider. I don't think there's a high probability of that, but there's always a chance and something just to be mindful of. All right, so that's the Qs. What else? Oh, so I want to go over Bitcoin. This was a really interesting chart coming into Friday. We just had this really big kind of waterfall move into Friday, two wide range candles into oversold conditions. Ended up having huge volume on Friday, put in this hammer candle. Since over the weekend we bounced a little bit and been able to hold in there, so we'll see how that looks tomorrow when I wake up. But I did on Friday, I was buying IBIT. That, obviously that's following Bitcoin, huge move, and then we came into a big gap lower, and I was buying it. In the pre-market, when I woke up, I was looking at it, just a big gap down following the big day yesterday. So I was looking for a bounce play. I was buying it in here, and I bought a little bit more in here, and then was trimming off into this move. I took a partial stop on it. I do have a little bit left right now because it gave back the whole move and broke low day, so I did take some off. Ended up rebounding and holding in there. We put in a bunch of higher lows, even into the post-market. So, and then Bitcoin's looking to gap up tomorrow, so we'll see how that affects IBIT. I would ideally like to hold this into 50. That would be my next area for profit taking. If it can give me an ad spot, I'd like to get some more size back in it and see if we can get a bigger bounce. But 50 is definitely on my radar, and then 52 above that's my next spot back into the 10-day area. So we'll see how that goes, but that was a good bottom scoop in the pre-market. This is something I look for all the time. This has just had a big move from all-time highs. We had this huge failed breakout up here, peaked at 71.82, and then Bitcoin just got smacked. We had a little dead cat bounce here, and then it's just a cascading waterfall going into oversold conditions, and then having a gap lower into that oversold move. Is just a really good look for a bounce play coming up out of the gap. And we put in a ton of volume too. So we'll see if we can get some continuation this week. Definitely be on my radar tomorrow. What else do we have? Meta was one I've been kind of bottom fishing for. We've had post earnings, just been in this sell-off mode after their CapEx came in higher than what was expected. I started buying last week, I think in this area, and I added a little bit more here. It held 580 very well. You can see all these wicks, you know, back under 590. There's clearly some demand in the mid 580s. So if we can come in strong tomorrow with the futures up, maybe we can get a bounce back and look to break through last week's highs. And really the weekly chart is what I like a lot on Meta. We've had 4 straight weeks lower. We started seeing some buying at the end of the week each week, and now we put in a less of a range week last week after these 3 huge weeks. So it looks like it's putting in some bottoming action. So I want to see this pop up over last week's highs and see if it can hold higher. That would be ideal. So we'll see if that can hold. But yeah, if it starts to break down again, if it just trades sideways and then breaks below 580, I'll cut it and then reevaluate the position. You know, after the 4 weeks of selling, maybe we can get a nice bounce. I'd sell into the, you know, if we can get above it Friday or last week's highs, 611.69, I'd take some profit through that and into 620 and then let it settle. Hopefully, you know, can consolidate over the moving averages and then maybe sets up for another like higher. So that's kind of what I'm thinking with Meta coming into this week. All right, so that's a little swing position I got playing on right now. And then what else do we have here? NVIDIA, this needs more time for me. We had a big reclaim of this 177 level, came in and tested 173. Been pretty weak over the last couple weeks. So I'm gonna let this settle. I don't really have any clear indication which way this wants to go. It's below the moving averages and is just, you know, a ton of volume the last couple days. So we'll see. Needs a couple more days of setting up consolidation. If it wants to break lower, 133 or 173 is a big level to watch here. Breaks through that, then we're looking at 170 and then lower into this like 164 area. So that's NVIDIA. Let's map up some areas. And Apple's been pretty interesting. This thing has not been phased at all by that selling. We've been flagging higher. If market wants to firm up and push back towards, you know, make, you know, kind of recover all the volatility from last week, this was definitely one to watch for a breakout for new highs here. So this was Apple's, basically if it gets back above this 275 area, there's been a bit of supply there. We tested it this week, and then last week we tested it and failed. So if we can get above 275 and hold, then this will likely see higher, you know, 280 and above. So that looks like pretty good. Those are really the only names that are on my radar this week. I'm going to try and be selective. I don't want to overtrade during a holiday week, so I just want to look at the best setups that are out there. And as far as large caps goes, those are the ones I'm really interested in. Tesla, no interest in this right now. Netflix I thought would trade a little bit better post split, but is still pretty heavy here. Maybe if it got down into 100, that's an interesting level. We'll keep tabs on, put a word out. But otherwise, I need to see this set up a little bit better. And then Amazon was pretty weak. I almost bought some on Friday. I didn't because I was trading Bitcoin and Meta instead. I still like this. If this would have gotten closer to this bigger pivot here around 212, I would have liked that a little bit more. We kind of bounced in front of it. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'll put a alert out here by 212. I like this if it gets into it this week. If the market is a bit weaker, it's a big area. One to watch for Amazon. And Google's been a rock star. This thing has been on absolute tear. I can't buy it up here. It's just been on such a big run. I need to see this come in a bit and give me some consolidation, build a base. It's just, you know, it's been on too big of a run to be chasing these prices up here above 300. Definitely worth watching. This is an interesting candle here. You know, we had this big push on Wednesday that kind of failed, the breakout, gapped up the next day, failed again, and now we put in a tight inside day. I wouldn't be surprised if this comes in over the coming weeks, given how big the run is and how much trouble it's having up here at the 300 area. So that's one to watch. We'll keep an eye on Google for maybe a reversal swing. Other than that, as far as small caps, there's really not much on my radar. They have been so quiet this November, so haven't been doing a ton there. There is this one MNDR. This one I traded on Friday. It was an absolute pain. It's like a Singapore rig job, but I do love these multiple gap days. If this gaps up tomorrow, a day 3 gapper, I would be very interested in that for a short. Otherwise, I won't be touching it. If this is flat or lower, I won't be trading it at all. I want to see this gapping up big, and that will be a really good look for a reversal. So other than that, that's about it. Probably going to be a little bit quieter of a week given Thanksgiving. Everyone's going to be traveling, so don't overdo it. Let things settle out, and then let's kick off December. There should be some good plays to get involved with. So I hope everyone had a great weekend. I will catch you all in the room tomorrow.